In this video, I'm going to be talking about the 5 things that will make you the ideal candidate for the residency match. What's up, guys? My name is Dr. Safo Asante, the successful IMG, successful because I matched into residency, and I'm here so that you can as well. In my last video, I gave you guys an overview of the United States NRMP match. If you're interested, I'm going to put the link down below for you guys to take a look at it. And if you're not interested, forget you then. Just kidding. The match is a very competitive event. About 20% of the people that apply to the United States match don't make it in. And this was when you had the United States medical graduates that are MDs, you had the international medical graduates, and then you had a few DO graduates that were applying. But now things are changing, and all the DO graduates and the MD graduates are going to be in the same pool, every single one of them. So it's going to be a lot more competitive than it was before. So if you want to make it out of this party and actually make it to the next part of your career, which is residency, then I will pay attention to these five points that I'm going to list for you guys. I already told you in my last video that your medical school knowledge, your medical school degree doesn't do squat for you if you don't match into residency. You cannot even work as a medical assistant because you need to get a degree, not a degree, you need to get some sort of certificate. But back to the 5 points. Number 1, get good grades. You have to get good grades in medical school. You're probably sitting there telling yourself, oh, I already know that I have to get good grades in medical school. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. But are you getting good grades in medical school? If you are, good on you. Keep it up. If you're not, sit your buttocks down and study. Figure out what's going on. When I was in medical school, my first semester in medical school, during anatomy, I took the first test, took me behind the back, and just beat me. Mercilessly. But that's okay. I'm the kind of person that gets along with a lot of people, so I was able to ask a lot of people how they studied. Anybody and everybody I was asked to try to figure out. And I determined a method for studying for the anatomy exam, and then I did better. I did good. So that's what you need to do. You need to sit down, figure out where you're going wrong. Sit down, figure out if there's a different book that you need to use. Figure all those things out and do better. Number 2, you're the kinds of guys and girls that will look below the video and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the share button. Okay. So I'll give you number 2 right now. Number 2, I would say, is one of the 3 most important points of this video. So I would definitely try to get that right. I would even go so far as to say that if you mess up some of the other points that I'm mentioning to you, you should at least try to get number 2 right. And number 2 is your USMLE step scores. You want to get good USMLE step scores. The reason why I say this is because it's a gateway thing. Programs get so many applications that it's hard for them to look at every single one of them. So they put in certain filters. And one of the filters that they put in, I'm sure some of the filters are, if you fail this, if you fail the exam, blah, 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 you read it out. Other than that, they also put a specific score. If you get below that score, they probably don't even take a look at your application. If you're lucky, they might, but if you're not, they might not take a look at your application at all. And that just completely takes you out of the pool. And that's a problem. So in order to make things as easy as possible for you when you're applying, I suggest that you try to get as great scores as possible with the USMLE test. The USMLE tests, more specifically, are the standardized tests that you have to take if you want to apply for residency and eventually work in the United States. So this is a must. You can't get around it. It can make your life so much easier if you get great scores in this. So that's one thing I would definitely advise you to do. So figure out how to study for the test. There are tons of videos on YouTube. There are tons of forums that give you advice, tons of people that just want to share how they study, and they got the 250s, 240 somethings, 230s. You want to make sure that for whatever specialty you're applying to, that you're getting the score that they require. You're getting above the score that they want. And whatever program that you're applying to, you're getting above the score that they want. Like one of my friends, he was working in a hospital. This is in New York City. He's working in a hospital. His program would not even look at anybody that gets below a 240. I mean, this is an IM program. You want to put yourself in a position where you increase your chances of matching. You want to make things as easy as possible for yourself. Oh, hey. Number 3, you don't want residency programs to look at your application and think, oh, this guy is a one-dimensional guy. You don't want them to look at your application and think, this guy doesn't have anything else to provide other than just sit down and study, because most likely he's not going to end up fitting into my program. Number 3 is a way that you can avoid doing all these things. Number 3 is extracurricular activities. So you want to make sure that you definitely have extracurricular activities on your resume and extracurricular activities that you participate in. 2 of the high yield extracurricular activities that most of you already know are research and volunteering. If you are starting out, I would take the time to seek out either research or volunteer work, or both, depending on if you like them. If you don't like them, you don't have to do research, but you can always volunteer, right? But I would take the time to seek out some of these opportunities so that you can put it on your resume, so that you can talk about it. In addition to that, if you can have a hobby that you can talk about in an interesting way, in a way that would make people say, this is one way, and this is a secret tip for you guys. This is one way that you can let the program remember you. Because what's the name of the game? The name of the game is you put in your application, you go for interviews, and you leave the interview. You want them to remember you when they are ranking people. And one of the ways that they're going to remember you is if you stand out somehow. And they're going to say, oh, wait, do you remember the guy that liked to do this? He was great. Wow. So that's one of the things that you want to do. At the beginning of residency, my fellow colleagues and I, now my friends, we sat down with the faculty and we were going over our hobbies. People had very interesting hobbies. And to this day, I remember 2 of the hobbies that people had. One of them was gardening. Are you kidding me? Gardening. But it's cool. It's really cool. Like, he spoke about it and it was interesting. I liked it. And it sparked a discussion. And then the other one had polishing shoes. You know, it's something that simple, but it's something that you would remember. The application season is a long time. The interview trail is a long period. A lot of people come through the doors of the program for interviews. There's so many people, and you want to be able to stand out. So this is a secret tip for you guys. Have hobbies that would make you stand out. Now, I'm not saying go make up stuff. I'm not saying go mention like the weirdest hobby that you can find. All I'm saying is have a hobby, right? That makes you stand out. My hobby is playing soccer. It's nothing crazy, nothing out of, but I could talk about it in such a way that you're gonna say, he really likes soccer. This guy is a soccer player, right? And that's where you want to be. Number 4 is something that I should have mentioned at the beginning of the video, but thinking about it again, I think that it's better suited if it's a disposition. And if you clicked out the video too early, sorry. Number 4 specifically is the medical school that you graduate from. I will talk about 3 medical schools that people graduate from. The American medical schools, the Caribbean medical schools, and the other international medical schools. So with the American medical schools, they match about 93% of their graduates, according to the stats in 2020. If you have to pick one school when you're first applying to schools and you're trying to match and work in the US, you should try to make sure that you can get into an American medical school. You should try your best to get into one. Now, if you can't, for some reason, get into American graduate school, or you grew up somewhere else, blah, 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 whatever the reason is, then the second best, and here I want a drum roll. The second best is going to one of the top Caribbean schools. And I say this for two reasons. Caribbean schools, at least the top ones, have their graduates or have their medical students rotate in programs in the States. So a lot of the programs have been exposed to medical students from these top 4 Caribbean schools, and they are well aware of how good these medical students are from these schools. So that's one thing. The second thing is that at least the top 4 medical schools in the Caribbean, they match a lot of their students into residency. A lot of them. And these are like, these schools are AUC, St. George's, Ross, AUA. So these schools match a lot of their students into residency. AUC specifically, they say, according to your website, at least about 90-something% of their students match into residency. 90-something%. And then AUA, I think about the same amount. This is from what somebody told me. St. George's, I don't know 100%, but I know a lot of your students match. So if you went to St. George's Medical School and you know what the stats are in terms of matching, could you please comment down below? Just let us know what the stats are so that we can, at least we know and people know. And this will help people that are applying to medical school as well. So if you have the option of picking which school you go to, first would be do your best to go to American school. If for some reason you don't get into an American school, or you can't go to an American school, then go to one of the top 4 Caribbean schools. And if for some reason you end up in another medical school, that's fine as well. There are ways around it. The main thing is all the other things that I spoke about, you have to make sure that you try to maximize those things. You got to maximize the scores that you get in medical school. Make sure that your scores are very good in medical school, and you have to try to make sure that your USMLE step scores are tip top. If your USMLE step scores are tip top, that is going to push you above, and let the schools take a look at you, and that's all you want. Number 5 is all about having programs get an insight into your life. And number 5 is getting a good letter of recommendation. The reason why it's so important is, unfortunately, even though you know what you have to offer, programs don't, because they don't have an insight into your life. Unfortunately, that's the way it is. And one of the ways that they get over it is by looking at the reference letters that you get from attendants, program directors, and so on. So you want to get preferably a letter from a program director, or a letter from the person that's in charge of your program or the rotation that you're in, that says good things about you, and not just give you a generic letter, but gives you a letter which stands out from the rest and just seems genuine. If you can get one of those letters, that goes a long way. The name of the game when it comes to interviewing is for you to be memorable. One of the ways that you become memorable is by getting good letters of recommendation. If you get good letters of recommendation, it's something that we remember. In our program, we get the chance to partake in the interview process. So one of the few days that I partook in the interview process, there was one person that we spoke about, and we said, oh wow, he has great letter of recommendation. And we remembered that. And that's where you want to be. You want the people that interview you to remember you. You want the people that call you for interviews, people that interview you, to see you as somebody that's been spoken of as being capable. So if you follow my advice and you make sure that you fit those 5 things that I mentioned earlier, you will have an easier time matching into the specialty that you want, and sometimes even getting into the residency program that you specifically want to get into. But what about if you're having a hard time matching? You've applied before and you didn't get in. Or what about if you have blemishes on your record and you want to make sure that you match? I have another video coming up. Just make sure you follow up on my videos. I release them every Thursday, so it's every week. I try to release different topics. All of them have to do with the match. So just follow along. But in the meantime, you know what to do. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and share my video. I know my videos still suck. I'm still learning, but I'll get better. Just keep following, and let's get you into residency. Dr. Safwa Asante out.